Well, welcome to another episode of Poly Stories. Thank you for taking the time to make it. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is Eleni Faylani. People either call me Lenny or I usually go by my middle name, Faylani.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 27 years old and I'm from Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. All right, sounds good. So let's get right into it. So how did you grow up?
So like a lot of Polynesian kids, I was raised by my dad's sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Two of my dad's single sisters. They didn't have any children of their own. They'd never got married. And I was brought up by them. But my parents we all lived in the same city in Pittsburgh. So I grew up knowing, like having that relationship with my parents, like a child-parent relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and also with my siblings too.
Mm-hmm.
But I do give credit to my aunts for bringing me up.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, do you have is this you? Or do you have siblings?
I have one brother and two sisters.
Two sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And you grew up in Pittsburgh your whole life?
Yeah, there was a year when I was in the 4th grade. I went to Hawaii. I lived in Kahuku and did 4th grade over there. And then also I lived in Tongan for 1 year when I was a teenager.
So, for real?
Yep.
Which part of Tongan?
Veitongo, baby.
Oh, Veitongo in the house. Okay. What year was that?
2011.
2011? How was it? How was that experience?
It was cool. I really, really liked it. I had a hard time leaving.
Yeah.
Like, when I first got there, I missed it over here.
Yeah.
But as time went on, like, I felt really comfortable being over there, and it just really felt like home.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I've ever been as comfortable anywhere else besides living in Tonga, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though it's a lot different than over here, I really, really loved it. Like, to be completely honest, I wouldn't mind living there.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know. I don't have a purpose for living there. It's just really cool, Yeah.
Yeah. Did you go to school there?
I did.
What school did you went to?
Leahona.
Oh, Leahona, okay. That's interesting you said that. What made Tonga more comfortable for you?
I don't know.
That's different than living here in the U.S.
Because like I said in the beginning, because it was so different from what I was used to over here, I wouldn't say I had a hard time, but it was just because it was so different and I wasn't used to life over there.
What kind of differences? What do you mean?
Just like over here, you're so used to like different cultures and like different kinds of people being together.
Yeah.
And like you're used to like a certain way of life. In Tonga, it's different because everything's a little bit more chill, laid back.
Yeah, yeah.
And like super religious people over there. Like my house, there was a siastonga in the back, and they had a drum that they would hit every morning, like around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, to call their members to come to church. And that drum would go off, and then like 2 houses down there was a Catholic church. They had another drum that would go off around that time, and then there was a Methodist church that had a bell. So I wasn't used to hearing all these things in the morning, like for people to go to church and stuff. But I don't know, it was just really nice. Like the vibe in Tonga is different, and it like the humility of the people. It's really nice too. I don't know how to describe it very well.
You think it's because I know I went to high school. So I'm like I grew up in Tonga, so when I came here, I went to high school.
Wait, where'd you go to high school at?
Where, in here or in Tonga?
Tonga.
In Tonga, I went to Tonga High School.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, I'm very educated.
Oh! Wow.
I'm just joking.
Okay.
I'm just joking. No, when I went to Tonga High School, the school burned down.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was having a mess. But so when I went there, I went to school and we had tents.
Mm-hmm.
So they were still rebuilding the school. But yeah, that was cool. No, so I think what I'm trying to picture what you said. So I feel like in Tonga, it's less like probably less judgmental. Because you know sometimes in high school, because when I first came in high school to America, like you walk in and you have to like you have to realize which group you're in.
Right.
And then
I think in a way it's kind of like that in Tonga too.
Yeah.
Kinda. At least
maybe maybe it's different. Maybe it was different when you went, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like in Tonga, like we came in, everybody saw you Tongan, like oh what's up, and then you just you gotta find your friends.
Yeah.
You
true.
know. But I feel like it wasn't. I feel like in Tonga it wasn't hard to make friends.
It's not hard to make friends. I guess it's a little different because you come from a different. It's like you come here and then you go there while you're still older. It's not like you're like a little kid where
Yeah.
it's super easy. Little kids are just like.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't difficult, it was just, I remember my first weeks of school over there, maybe it was just because of me,
Yeah.
because normally I'm a pretty, like, socially awkward human being, so when I first got there, I did kind of keep to myself, but as time went by, I found, like you said, I found my group of friends
Yeah.
that I, like, really, really stuck with
Yeah.
for that whole year, and, like, I still keep in contact with them today,
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Well, I think for me it's like because you know in America you go to high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know you have like you have the cool kids.
Yeah.
You have the jocks.
Mm-hmm.
You know you have the and there's different categories, but I felt like in Tonga there was never like cool kids. Hey, something good. There was never cool kid. There was never like jocks. There was never like there wasn't like like the different categories America had.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Tonga was just like, even though you have your group of friends, but for me it's like I was still friends with everyone within the class. But then of course I had my people I hanged around with all the time.
Yeah.
But I knew everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Here, you only had your good friends, but you didn't know everybody in your class. Like I don't know. I guess
Pittsburgh High School was different because that's how we were too.
Yeah.
We did have a group of friends, and then everybody knew each other. But I think it's because it was smaller.
Yeah.
And like a lot of us grew up together. We're like. I went to high school with kids that I went to preschool with.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like stuff like that. But
okay. So you fluent in Tongan?
I can understand Tongan fluently.
Yeah.
I think if I really tried to speak, which I'm embarrassed to say that I don't try as much as I should, I would be. I guess I would speak Tongan fluently.
Yeah.
But it's just because I'm so embarrassed, I guess. Like, I'm not embarrassed because of the language. I love the Tongan language. I love being Tongan. But it's just because, like, it doesn't sound like how my parents speak in Tongan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or sometimes it's like, when we learn a language, like, we understand, like, the structure of the sentences and, like, the rules that are involved with the grammar.
Mm-hmm.
The way that my mind works is, like, I need structure. And I don't really understand how to grammatically like structure Tongan sentences. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like make them correct.
Yeah.
So that's where I fall short. But
Yeah.
if you were to speak to me in Tongan, I would understand it like English. It's just when it comes for me to speak it, it's a whole nother story. But I think I should try harder.
What's your favorite Tongan phrase? I just want to catch for your tongue.
Hold on. Kai kalotu maloi lele. There you go.
There you go. Okay. I like that one. That's right. That was good.
Thanks.
All right. So in Lihani, did you guys speak Tongan or is more English? You know.
The rules are you have to speak English on campus.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was good for you, huh?
Yeah. It was.
I know in Tonga High it's the same thing. We have to speak English too.
Mm-hmm.
Or probably like we had the broken English. I had broken English.
Oh.
It's so funny because I went to Tonga High and then we spoke English, so I thought like okay, I like my English is hella good. And so I came here, I was like, oh no.
I think a lot of the Tongan kids, their English is a lot better than they.
Yeah.
They
I think now because I listen to my nieces and my nephews, like they're in Tonga right now, they're going to school, and I talk to them.
Yeah.
Their English is good.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe they have better educated, better teachers now, or whatever, or better lessons. But I remember when I went there, I thought my English was good until I came here. And I was like, oh no, I'm not. My sentences, like structure. You talk about structure of sentences. My structure sentence was hell off. All right. Yeah. So growing up, like, what do you think was one of the toughest things, like challenges for you growing up? Just being a Tongan girl, growing up within the Polynesian culture.
Well, I think as a girl, like especially as like a Tongan woman,
Yeah.
there are certain expectations on how we should be and how we should act.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I hope I don't get a lot of backlash for this, but like I never agreed with like the double standard of, like, for example, like the male in the household, like a brother,
Yeah.
he'd be allowed to like go anywhere, the
Yeah.
parents wouldn't question where he would go,
Yeah.
or even like how late he would come home and stuff. But the girls, even when you're like 35, the girls, like, it's like, no, like,
Yeah.
you can't, otherwise you'll risk being seen as someone who's doesn't have good morals. But
Yeah.
I mean, I understand, like, in our culture it's done for protection and stuff like that, but I feel like the double standard sometimes that you have with men and women in that sense is not very fair.
Yeah. Did you experience that a lot growing up?
I did, kinda, I guess. Not like in an extreme way, but
Yeah.
like, like I said, I was raised by my aunts. They're
Yeah.
very passive, very humble, very sweet
Yeah.
women.
Yeah.
And my parents, my mom's cool. She's like that too. Like I love my mom.
Yeah.
And my dad, but they're not same personality as like my aunts are.
Yeah.
And like with my dad, he had certain expectations of how we should be like, not just as like girls, but like as his children.
Yeah.
He had certain expectations, and like I don't, like I said, I love my parents, but I feel like a lot of the times, even to this day, those expectations I have felt were unreachable.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was difficult.
Yeah.
And it still kind of is, but you live and you learn.
Yeah. Do you feel like that expectation? Do you feel like that kind of hinders Tongan girls' growth, women's growth?
In a sense, yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
I do. Just because like there's so much worry of, like, I would hope that with these expectations, the purpose of them are so that they will protect children,
Yeah.
keep them safe,
Yeah.
out of harm's way, and not for the purpose of like showing face, meaning like not for the purpose of making sure that your kids are doing well just for the sole purpose that people aren't talking badly about you and your family, or like, ruining your family's reputation.
Yeah.
I don't think that sends a very good message to a child. I think that like the children should understand that the reasons why the parents have these expectations is so that they can be safe and so that they can be happy, and not because like I'm gonna like shame the family name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But did you end up shaming the family name?
No. Kevin, I did not shame the family name. I'm just kidding.
Just joking. All right. Do you have I know you said this, you said that in a way kind of hinders your growth, right? Do you have any personal experience of some things that you feel like that maybe either you have trouble doing or maybe there's a lack of that was the reason why it's because of this expectation?
Okay. So, like a little background, like my dad and his family, school and education is something that's very important to them. Like my dad's a very educated man, and he has expectations for us as his children to beat him and you know, to surpass him. And for me, like growing up, I've always saw my dad as like a almost superhuman, like you know, like I still feel like he's like the smartest person I know. And like I feel like he does everything so perfectly, and because I know that he expects us to do the same thing, it's difficult just because personality wise I'm not like that, you know, where I'm not as like competitive or as like dominant in personality. Okay, so like
that's his personality.
Yeah. But he's a good man. He's a sweet guy. Yeah. But I think it was just difficult because like you know, even to this day I feel like I can never reach that expectation or even live up to that standard that he has set. But that's the only reason why I say it's difficult, because sometimes when you do sit there and compare like your accomplishments and your life with someone like that, it kind of makes you feel a little small, you know. But it shouldn't be like that. And I know it's a personal thing. I'm not trying to like blame my pops or anything like that. It's really a thing that, you know, the person has to deal with on their own. But
okay. Have you ever had a conversation with your dad about like, you know, expectations and you have to fulfill it, or was it more just like something you just have to figure out on your own by watching them?
We've like conversations like what he expects of us.
Okay.
Like growing up, that was always a thing. And
was he like firm, like, okay, I need you to do this?
That's how he was. He was very like for me and my siblings, he had already figured out what we would be good at, like job career wise, based on like our personalities and what we were good at, and like the subjects in school. And so for him, we always had that conversation growing up about like all these things that we should do so that we can stay on this path and like really focus on it. And like it's good, like don't get me wrong, it's good. It's just like I said, there was just so many expectations that I feel like I have not met up, you know, that he expected of me.
Okay. What occupation did you assign you?
My dad, he actually either wanted me to be a lawyer.
That's like every.
A lawyer or
doctor.
An English teacher.
English teacher. Okay.
Because I was always good at English and like history, those things. I was never good at math. My dad is a math person. And every Saturday morning we used to wake up very early in the morning, and we had these workbooks, and he would like make us sit at the kitchen table and work on these workbooks, and then me and my siblings, and like we would have to sit there and work on them, and then like hours would pass and he would like check them, and if like we had some that were wrong, we would get in trouble. So I was like, me and math, we don't have like a very good relationship, because I just remember those Saturday mornings at the kitchen table crying. So I don't think so.
They're traumatized.
Traumatized, just a little bit. You know, numbers just they make me feel some type of way. I'm just kidding.
That's good. No, okay, cool. What age did you realize like that these expectations probably isn't something I'm going to fulfill?
I mean, I've always felt that way since I was small.
Yeah.
I've always felt that, like...
Because I feel like growing up, I mean, every Polynesian kid, I mean, we all want to make our parents proud.
Right.
Because we love our parents, but I know a lot of people watching this can resonate with it, and a lot, especially Tongan women, but the expectation to be perfect, it should be a certain way. But then I guess, all of us, we realize at some point of time in our life growing up, as we become adults, that we have to face the reality that this is not who I am.
Yeah.
Right, and we have to find a way to start accepting and loving ourselves. So, like what age did you realize, okay, I'm probably not going to be this person that my dad wants me to be, and then that's when you needed to realize that I have to accept this.
Oh, when I accept what age I was when I accepted that.
Yeah, when you finally accept, you know what, I'm gonna stop trying to be this person because I'm never going to be this person. Because
27. I'm serious. Yeah.
Like, just recently.
Just recently.
Just recently. Oh wow.
Yeah.
All right. How'd you get to that point?
I just I've come to the realization, that even though I may not meet all the dreams that my dad had for me, I feel strongly that right now I need to focus on what's gonna make me happy and what's gonna help me to progress. And education is something that I want to accomplish, I do want to get a degree and maybe get higher education like my dad. But I want to do it in a way that is in my own pace, and that I'm not so focused on I need to make this, I need to do this so I can be, yeah, and I need to do this perfectly, and I need to make sure that I'm not failing. That's my thing is with failure. Whenever I feel like failure is obvious, it's I give up trying. I've always done that since I was a child, and so recently I've come to the conclusion that failure is necessary, but don't hold yourself back with your failure. Use that information and the lessons that you've learned, and then move on.
Fail forward.
Exactly.
Don't give up.
Yeah.
Just move forward with it.
Exactly.
Cool. All right. So so you mentioned you just recently found yourself.
Finding self.
Well, it's a process. Still a process.
Yeah, it's a process.
All right. Congrats, by the way. But what was the reason that finally made you the point? You know what? Enough is enough. I gotta love myself. Did something happen, or or is it just time? Or it's just living in the same situation over and over, and then over time, you just got to a point where you couldn't handle it no more, but you just had to start finding, accepting yourself. So what was it? What was the circumstance, the situation that finally happened to you that just gave you the courage? You know what? I have to start being myself now.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to formulate my words.
No, that's not fine.
But so I've had my fights with depression.
Gotcha.
And it's, there are times where it is there are days that are worse than others. And there was a night in particular that I had I was feeling really low.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was feeling extremely low, and I had a conversation with a friend, who helped me to see that the things that I'm dealing with now, and even the things that I've dealt with in the past, are things that will help me to, like, they're molding me to be a better person, not just for myself, but my friend had said that it's also molding me to be a better person for, like, the people that I come across, or even, like, my future family. Which at that moment, you know, it really like it felt like it, like, what she had said had really stabbed me in my soul.
Yeah.
And, like, that was something I really needed to hear. And so at that moment, right after that, I just had, you know, like, like you said, it's just been a process with me, like, having moments where I'll think about that time, that moment, and, like, what I can do specifically to be, like, the thoughts that I have when I'm feeling low.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
Like, yeah. So, and, like, one of the things that did come to me was that I need to really find myself and understand myself more, understand what my goals are and what I hope to accomplish and who I want to be. But also going back to, like, faith, and with my faith, I can't accomplish any of that without, like, the Lord. And so that's how I came to my realization.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, that's good. No, that's fine. So, just kind of listening to what you said. So, when you said future family, did you mean in the context of, like, you want to be a better person for your future family, not the person you are now?
Like, I want to be the best version of myself.
Yeah, and so that way you can give that to your kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. No, that's good. No, that's powerful, because I can relate to that, because I had my own, you know, situations where I've gone through my own depression and stuff I go through in my personal life. But when you said that, that gave me a little flashback. But one of the things that helped me realize that, I don't know if it was somebody gave a talk about it, or I listened to this person's story. He said that how we love ourselves is what we're going to teach our kids.
Yeah.
So if we're not happy, if we're broken, then that's probably what we're going to teach. I think he said, like happy and sad is something passed on. And then I started thinking about that. Am I going to be living my misery and be unhappy and try to mask it, and that's the type of parent I want to be to my kids one day? And that thought, when I started thinking about that, that kind of like awoke in me, like, you know what, I think I want to be happy, I want to be who I am, so that way that because I lived a life where I had to kind of like mask who I really was. In Polynesia, that's what we do.
Yeah. So
because you and me can relate to that, because we grew up like that, it made me change my process. You know what, I don't want to do that to my own kids if I have kids one day, because I know what that feels like. So I have to be a different version, but a better version, the best version of myself, like you said. So that way I can give a life that to my kids that so they don't have to go through what I went through. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Is that where this is coming from?
Yeah, exactly.
You just don't want your family to create one day to go what you're going through. So
exactly. Yeah.
That gave you the courage to I'm gonna be the best version, the best social awkward person in the world.
Don't know if I'll be the best socially awkward person, but
the best version of that.
Yeah, the best version of whoever that is.
Okay, that's cool. That's good. I think that's something that people need to hear, because that's something that helped me a lot too. All right, so talk about dreams. Your dad had dreams for you, but what's your dreams? Like, what do you want? What do you want for yourself?
Sometimes I feel like it changes.
Yeah.
But something that has always like been true within myself is I've always wanted to do something that helps other people. Like, I want right now I want to be a teacher.
Okay.
Like I actually.
Math teacher?
No, definitely not that. Oh, those poor children. Yeah, no. I would be an English teacher. I like, and I would like to work with like either like college level students or little kids.
Okay, no high school.
I wouldn't mind high school, but it's just. I feel like little kids. I have a soft spot for like little children, so I would rather be an English teacher for that.
So English teachers, you like English?
I love English actually.
Oh, do you like to write?
I like to read. Writing, not so much.
Okay, what kind of books have you been reading?
So during quarantine, I've been. I hope people don't think I'm weird.
No.
Sorry.
No.
I've been reading this series. It's Miss Peregrine's, I think Home for Peculiar Children or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't, but I've been reading it. I bought the series.
Okay.
So that's what I've been doing during quarantine, and I've also been reading some medieval things.
Okay.
Just out of boredom, you know,
Yeah.
like just because there's nothing else to do, and I just need to exercise my brain cells because I felt like they're slowly dying.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So, I just been reading those things. What I should be doing is reading more important things, but you know.
Yeah, you never know when you need that information.
Yeah.
All right, so you want to be an English teacher, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So you finally accepted yourself. Now you know what you want for your life and how you want to live it.
Yeah.
Have you had that conversation with your parents about not fulfilling their dreams? I'm gonna do what's best for me.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
But I think we've kind of come to that understanding. My dad's not as like on like me
on top of you as much.
Yeah, as before, but like I think he's come to that understanding. I hope. I assume. I don't know. But we've never had that conversation.
Yeah. Do you want to have that conversation?
I think it would be nice.
Yeah.
So, but it's just I wouldn't know. I think I'm just too chicken.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just too scared. Just like come to the house and just be like, hey, and then like lay it all down.
Yeah.
But no, I think it is a conversation that should be had.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much like, because I feel not so much on like for my dad, but for me.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a conversation that I need to have.
Of course, it's not you.
Yeah.
It's your life. Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. All right. So so you finally accepted yourself. So also like have you taken any steps of pursuing your career?
Right now, I'm just trying to finish school.
Yeah.
That too is something that I need to really like sit down and plan.
Yeah.
It. Like I said, all these like realizations have just recently happened.
That's good.
So like I just need to sit down and really plan out what it is that I need to do to accomplish those things.
Yeah. Okay. I know you mentioned that you want to have that conversation with you one day because you want it for yourself. So are you pretty open as far as like open dialogue with your parents? Are you pretty open with your parents or just specific things?
So you know, I was raised by my aunts. One of my aunts had passed away in 2017, and so I live with my other aunt, who's still alive, and I talk to her about like everything.
Everything, okay.
So like every single thing that happens to me, like I talk to her about it, and like I used to talk to my other aunt too when she was still alive, but I talked to my auntie Fang about it. I don't really talk to my parents about like those things. I talk to them about like specific things.
Yeah.
But I don't tell them every single detail of my life like I do with my aunt.
Yeah. Okay. Why do you? Because I know I really like. I think there's a lot of girls that experience that, right? You think that's a cultural thing that we as Polynesian kids we find it really hard to have great dialogue with our parents?
Maybe. I don't know, because I know a lot of Polynesian kids, other Polynesian kids too, that they can speak very openly to their parents. But I know, like, maybe it's just a personal thing.
Yeah.
Because I do have, like, one of my sisters, for example, she's very open with my dad with a lot of things, and I think it's a personal thing. It might just be all in my mind.
Okay. Why do you feel like your sister has a more open relationship than you? Like, what's the difference?
Our personalities are very different.
Oh, okay.
Like, my siblings are very, like, I look up to them. They're they're very like I think they're very brilliant people, you know, in their own different way, because they're kind of different from one another too, just a little bit. But this one sister in particular, her personality, her and I are very different from each other. But she's like a very go-getter, accomplish everything that she's put her mindset to, and like if she's put in her mind that she's gonna say this to this person, or like have this conversation with my dad, or speak to my dad, or do whatever, she'll do it. Like she never backs down from anything.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. So, what are the positive things that you feel like that you learned about yourself, or maybe you gained from finally, accepting yourself? Because I feel like that when we finally accept ourselves, we find things about ourselves that we never knew that we could do, or never knew that we had.
Yeah.
So did you go through that transformation where you kind of, now you think differently, or now maybe you're more confident now, or?
I think so.
So like, what are the things? What are the attributes or positive things that you got out of it from your decision to finally accept yourself?
I'm not like completely different, but I would say that I do feel a difference. Maybe it's a bit of relief.
Gotcha.
Like it's just like comfort or like relief. It's like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
Yeah.
But also I think maybe it is, I have found a little bit of confidence, just like because I have more of an idea of what I want, instead of like, blindly trying to find my way to the door. But like, yeah, I think I have gained a little bit of confidence.
Yeah.
I don't know how much, because how can I measure that?
But what's like the biggest things what's the biggest positive thing that stands out to you? That you feel like that's the biggest thing, the biggest change that you notice within yourself that stands out to you?
I don't have as many days where I feel really low.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Because you just feel like the pressure's off, right? Yeah.
I think so.
You can just be you, right? All right. Nice. Let's talk about your mission.
Oh. Yeah.
Let's switch it a little bit.
I love that. Talking about it. So okay.
All right. Okay. So, can you talk about your decisions, the process? What was the process that led you to your mission? Because I think everybody that I've interviewed, I've interviewed 2 Mormons, and they've always talked about the different reasoning of what led them to their mission. So, I want to ask you, what was your process of leading you to your mission, deciding that to go that path?
So I just started like my second semester at BYU Idaho, and me and a couple of my roommates had decided to drive down to Utah for general conference, and we were driving to Utah, and we were kind of late. We wanted to go see the conference at Temple Square. We didn't have tickets, so we figured we'd just go to the Tabernacle and watch it there. But we were kind of late because we were driving late we drove a little later from Idaho. But right before we entered the doors, my friend had gotten a bunch of text messages from other people saying that they changed the age to go on the missions from 21 for the girls to 19 now.
Yeah.
And like, I think I was 19 at that time.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I was either 19 or 20. But like, I remembered that my friend was super excited about it. And like, I thought it was cool. And like, growing up, I was like, going on a mission would be cool. But it was never, I always just thought it was cool.
Yeah.
I never was like, I'm going to serve a mission, And then we went back to school, and everybody on campus, everybody at BYUI, they were all like, all the girls were like, I'm going on my mission. It was like the thing at that time to be like, I'm turning in my papers. Like everybody was like going. And I remember me and my dumb, immature mindset was like, ugh, I'm not going on a mission. I don't want to follow the bandwagon of these people,
Yeah.
Because everybody talked about it at school.
Yeah.
But I always had that like kind of that desire to go.
Yeah.
And I always at that moment I had that thought, that feeling that I should go on a mission.
Yeah.
And some events had happened at that school that really led me to grow in my faith and to grow in my testimony.
Mm-hmm.
And then one morning I just had at the moment I woke up, I just had that strong feeling that I needed to start my mission papers that day.
Mm-hmm.
And I did.
Yeah.
And then I went on a mission.
Okay. Nice. That's the first time I heard it was a cool thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you filed your mission papers.
Mm-hmm.
Where did they assign you?
Illinois, Chicago, West.
Chicago.
Spanish speaking.
Spanish speaking?
Yeah.
Oh, do you speak Spanish?
I do speak Spanish. Please don't make me speak Spanish.
Just say one sentence.
Hola, ¿cómo está?
Hola. Oh man, that's funny. So you still remember your what you learned, like as far as speaking the language?
Yeah, I don't practice my Spanish as much as I should.
Oh yeah.
But I understand it.
Yeah,
I eavesdrop on people.
Conversations?
Yeah, I do. It's horrible, I know. But like, I eavesdrop on people's conversations at the store and just to practice my Spanish. But yeah.
Have you ever like a Spanish person was speaking, but they were talking about you, but they didn't know that you spoke Spanish? Does that happen to you before?
Not while I understood Spanish, but I'm pretty sure it probably has happened.
When you were mission, people. Yeah.
Maybe, but not while I can understand it.
All right, so okay, so let's talk about when you finally when you went on your mission and you went to the MCC. Take us through that process.
Okay. I was assigned to the Mexico MTC.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, the age change had happened, so there was like a big a group of missionaries that were coming in. I think at that time it was like the biggest group. I could be wrong, but I don't know.
Like a big influx because of
it was huge.
Because of that change.
Like it was huge.
Okay.
And so because I was serving in America, like a lot of missionaries at my time, like the missionaries that would be serving stateside but a different language, they would often send those missionaries to like a different country, to the MTC in a different country.
To learn it?
Yeah, so because they wouldn't have to have like the visa, process. Whereas like some of the missionaries that were called like overseas, they would send them to the Provo MTC.
Yeah.
So that if they did have problems with their visa, they can wait for a little bit. I think that's what it was. That's what I remember people were saying. Because I remember when I opened my mission call, I was so confused when I saw Mexico MTC. But I'm happy because I really love that place. But yeah, I went to the Mexico MTC. They had, because of the influx of missionaries, it wasn't an MTC before. It was actually a high school, like Liahona. It was like the Liahona of Mexico. Yeah, and so like
Mexico. I'm trying to picture that right now.
it was really the campus kind of reminded me, kind of similar.
Yeah.
I don't know the vibes
yeah.
But it was it was a high school, and it was a big campus too. But then when the influx of missionaries were coming in, they stopped it from being a high school and made it a MTC.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I went there.
So how was your experience like walking in Tennessee for the first time, meeting everybody?
So I had arrived at nighttime.
Okay.
And it was like kind of different than what I had expected, because like I know like the Provo MTC was like super organized and like, you know, people, it's been around forever.
Yeah.
When I had gone in, the MTC in Mexico had just became an MTC, so they were still trying to figure stuff out. Yeah. And like it was just, I remember just being so confused. But like I was happy, but I was confused. And like they just gave us like our name tags, and then they put us in this room to write emails to our families to let them know that we were there, that we made it safe.
You're still alive.
And basically, yeah.
You're going to Mexico.
And so we did that. We got our badges, and then they gave us these pieces of paper that not only told us who our companions were, but also like where we were going to be staying, like because they had little dorms. So where we were going to be staying, and also like our district and stuff like that. And so it was already nighttime, and like, but the missionaries that had already been there, they were still having class in their districts. And so I remember I was walking to find my my dorm. And I had my suitcases, it had just rained that day, and like I was I'm also very clumsy too. I can just, there will be nothing on the ground and I can fall and break something. Yeah, that's how I am. But like I remember I was having such a hard time because one of my wheels was broken on my luggage, and like one of them kind of fell into like the little gutter where the water was. So I was not having a good day. And then at that moment I just happened to look up because I was walking past the building and I heard like people talking, and I just looked up and I saw a sister missionary who I knew from BYUI. Like I looked up and saw her, and I was so confused because I didn't know she was there. She was going to be there. And like I said her first name, and then she screamed my first name. We all like embraced and stuff. But like she ended up helping me to my dorms, and like that was a good first day because of that. But anyways, yeah, the MTC in Mexico is I really loved it. Like I grew really close with my district, like everybody else does. You know, kind of learned the basics of Spanish, and like it was there that like you really, at least for me, like I really had to like sit down and be like, okay, are you completely sure that you really, really want to go through with this? Because like this ain't a joke no more. Like it's not just wearing a name tag. Like you are really about to go in and like teach these people in a different language, you know. And so I don't know. To me it was a very special experience that I still think about, along with my mission as like Illinois. All
right. So you know, so you go to the MTC, then you how many months later before you flew out to Illinois?
So I think we were only there for 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you got reassigned back to.
Yeah, and I ain't gonna lie, I was so happy to go back to America. I was like, loved it, Mexico, but deuces, I'm out. I got to go back to USA.
What was the toughest thing? What was the toughest thing about living there?
I mean, it wasn't tough. It was just I knew, because I know myself. I was like, I know I wouldn't survive.
Yeah, I got you. You need structure and foundation.
Well, it wasn't because of that. It was just like, like. For example, there was one night where everybody in the MTC in Mexico got food poisoning.
Oh wow.
Everybody. We all got food poisoning, and
from the food you guys ate.
From the food we ate, and I remember at that moment, like the next morning we went to class in our districts, and like the elders just looked horrible. Like they looked like, you know, they were up all night, and then we did too. And then they were like, "Were you guys sick?" And they were like, "Yeah." "Were you guys sick?" They're like, "Yeah." And then we found out that everybody was sick. And so, like, I remember thinking at that moment, like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go back to the US because I can't do this. I can't do this, like, every day. I know that sounds horrible. That sounds really bad, but when I stepped foot in the United States of America again, I was like, thank you. You knew my heart. You knew that I had to be sent here.
Oh, that's bad funny. Oh man. So she went to Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So how was your first couple of weeks being a real missionary?
It was a lot harder than I expected it would be. I was still a kid, so I didn't think that they really would just like let us go, you know, like I didn't think. Yeah, exactly. That's how it was. Like they literally cause the first day we get there, you know, our mission president picked us up and like we went to the mission home. He got us like Chicago pizza. We had Chicago pizza and like we had like meeting. You know, we met as like new missionaries and stuff. And then we slept over at the mission home that night, and then the next morning we were to meet our trainers and like disperse to our areas. And like I met my trainer, and then we went to our area, and I remember we had caught a ride with the other sisters, the English sisters, and like we were going, and then I was like, I had assumed that like, you know, we would like, I don't know what I was expecting, but all of a sudden,
like the easier way into it.
Kind of, because like
baby steps.
Yeah, I think that's what I was expecting, because like my trainer was just like, okay, we're gonna go drop off our stuff, and then we're gonna work, and then I was like, okay, but you know, in my head it still was like, oh, it's not, you know, it's whatever. Nope, we went and dropped off our stuff. She was like legit about what she said. We dropped off our stuff, and then we went to this neighborhood. And then she just looked at me when we were walking, like we were talking about it, you know, she was asking me questions, but once we got to like the first house, she just looked at me, she's like, okay, knock.
So, okay. About that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you tell them you're Hawaiian?
I'll just describe that I was Tongan and it's like Hawaiian.
Yeah.
That was the easiest explanation, you know?
Yeah.
And they would always be like, oh, you know, and some of them would be like, they don't speak Spanish over there? I'm like, no.
Okay. All right. So, what was like the hardest thing about going into the mission the first time, like for you, in your experience, that you had to deal with?
I think for me personally, it was always, not trying to sound like a super sad guy, but like for me it's always been like the issue with not ever feeling like I was good enough.
Gotcha.
And so like I knew being a missionary was a special calling, mm-hmm. and like I wanted to be perfect in it because like I wanted to make Heavenly Father proud, and like I wanted to make my family proud. And so there were moments where I would feel like I wasn't good enough even for such a special calling, because like, you know, I didn't feel like I was capable to like do certain things, or even like I didn't think there were moments where I thought I wasn't like smart enough to learn Spanish or speak Spanish, and there were moments where I felt like I wasn't like good enough to teach something so pure and something so beautiful to like Heavenly Father's children. Mm-hmm. And so like, you know, I over time I came to realize that was like a tool that the adversary would use on, you know, me and other missionaries who felt the same way to kind of halt the work from progressing. Because, like, if the missionary feels that way, you know, it's difficult to feel the Spirit.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes that is how I felt a lot of times, is that I wasn't good enough to even be there.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case.
All right. Did that kind of like make it hard for you to learn?
Yeah.
To be there, like, to wake up and be like, encouraged to go out there every day.
Sometimes, and like, I would say that I was pretty good about like squaring my shoulders, or at least faking it, like faking that I was cool.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe I was like all gun ho and smiley on the outside, but in the inside, there's a lot of doubt and like insecurities there.
Yeah.
And so, and like, I also never ever wanted to hold like my companions back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
Like I never wanted them to feel down because I was not in a good headspace or whatever. So that was always my thinking.
Yeah.
Which now I look back and I see, I'm like, I wish it wasn't the case. Because it was, you know, a lot of those thoughts, they weren't true.
Yeah.
But that's just how I felt sometimes.
Okay. All right. Did you see, like, not only besides you were going through the same thing, but did you see other missionaries going through the same thing, like struggling?
Sometimes I would.
Yeah.
And like I would try to, like, you know, you don't want to be all up in someone's business or make them feel like you're trying to be nosy or like, I guess, self-righteous or whatever.
No, yeah, gotcha.
But there were times where with missionaries that I did see, one of the missionaries that I trained, she kind of reminded me of myself in a little way. And so because I was familiar with things like that, I tried my best to support her or to give her the encouragement that I felt like she needed, which I hope helped. I don't know if it did, but I hope it helped a little bit. But yeah, for sure, like when I would see other missionaries that would be struggling, I would try to at least be kind or like do something, like a little act of service for them to help uplift them.
Yeah. I
wouldn't be all like, I noticed that you're, you know, I mean, some people that works, but for other people, that kind of approach don't work.
Yeah. Walk up to him. The Spirit told me to.
Yeah. I mean, not trying to down anybody for saying stuff. No. But like,
everybody's different.
Everyone's different. And for me personally, how I felt towards, like, how I felt like I should help those people was not in that way. So.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. So, what was the biggest thing that you learned from your mission, as far as like, what transformation or what did the mission do for you as a person? Did you come out? What are the lessons or the things that you learned about yourself that you feel like that when you came out of it, you were probably a better or stronger person than going in?
So something that I would say, like, the biggest thing that I did learn, not necessarily about myself, but like about other people, was, it's gonna sound so simple, but it was that like how human we are.
Yeah.
How human people are. And like, I guess that made me see that Heavenly Father, like, no one is more important than another person. Gotcha. You know what I mean? And like, it really, going on my mission really made me be more understanding towards people and like have more love for them and not judge them for anything that they've done or anything that they were doing, but having like that pure love for them. Like that was something that I really learned on the mission.
Gotcha.
But I think for myself, like, something that I learned about myself on the mission was that I had what's the word? Like, I had the potential to be someone that was like good. Does that make sense? Not saying that I'm a bad person, but like,
no, you you become the person you always wanted to be.
Exactly.
Okay, got you.
And like on my mission, I look back and I'm like, wow, like you were so nice. Like you like the way I was on my mission, and I wasn't perfect. Like I had moments where I was like not great.
I mean, no one's perfect.
You know, yeah. And so like, but if I were to say, like that time was like the time that I was like the best version of myself, at least at this moment, and like, you know, that's what I learned, that's kind of what what I want to be like again, or like that's where I look back and be like, and use it as an example of how like I can be like during certain situations right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Well, so you look back there. So let's go into that.
Yeah.
So you said that that time that was probably the best version of yourself, you think, in your mind?
Yeah.
So what were things that made you in your mind that made you great, that you kind of like look back and like and you're proud of?
I was just like
who was that person?
Man, like so nice. Like I know that sounds so weird. I mean, not weird, but like
yeah, like how? Like what do you mean?
Like I was so patient, so understanding, so loving. Like it was just like, now that I look, like it feels like a whole different person. Like super loving, you know? Like I would just look at a person and be like, oh my gosh, I love him so much, you know? But now it's like, you know what I mean?
Well, so. Well, you were 19, right? So like,
I think actually I was 20.
20, right?
Yeah.
So you feel like so don't you do the so I mean the best way I can explain it is like, because you know when you're younger you're not aware.
Oh, naive.
Yes, you're naive, right? So you're more naive of so like you can just meet anybody. But now as we grow, I mean it's not like you're not a bad person. I'm still nice to people. For me, like when I meet people, like I'm open to kind to everybody, but I observe a lot.
Yeah.
So I look for certain things, and you know, I've just gone through so much of my life to recognize certain characteristics of people that I know that's not gonna lead me. It's not gonna be a good. It's not gonna be a good situation for me.
Yeah, I can see.
So I'm not. So it's not about like. It's not about. For me, it's not about not being nice. I'll be nice to them, but once I learn that okay, this person is probably not gonna be like for me. The number one thing I look for people is positivity. Like I surround people that are positive. I can't be around negative people, right?
Yeah.
People that try to hurt other people. So as soon as I know you're negative, I'm oh skirt. Right. So I'm like if they ask me for something, I'll help them out. It's like I won't. But for me, it's like I think that's what I'm trying to break down why you said that, right? Because like I don't think you stop being nice. Like you're still a nice person now.
It's just like it felt different.
Yeah, but I think when you're younger, and especially I think when you went to your mission, you had the missionary goggles.
Yeah, that's
or your missionary goggles, you're supposed to be nice to everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then now you're back to real life, and real life is not the same as going on a mission.
Yeah.
All right, so people we meet and the situation we deal with in our real life is a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to because I feel like I feel like you're still the nice person now. I don't think
it's just different. Like it's hard to explain. It's just I know I was different.
Yeah.
And I aspire to be how I was when I was still Hermana Louie. You know, and like.
You don't think you're a better person now, like a stronger person now, than you were back then?
I think I am a stronger person now than at that time, but it's just that time was just. Maybe, like you said, it's being naive and stuff, but like, I was just so happy at that time, like, you know.
Do you think it's because back then you haven't gone through what you've gone through?
I think yeah.
That was a time, because you know sometimes like for me like I think about like when I'm still remember back in the when I see my little nieces and nephews, man, those are good old days when I didn't worry about real life problems.
Yeah.
Playing around. Sometimes when you remember your childhood,
Mm-hmm.
you're just running around having fun.
Yeah.
You haven't dealt with real life yet.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's like that feeling?
You're right. Yeah, it is that feeling because even
you haven't dealt with real life yet. So you're still living in your bubble.
And yeah, exactly. Like you're still in La La Land, but like I often say that I said that I found myself at age 27, which is how old I am now.
Yeah.
Like the my ages 22 to I'm gonna say 27 have been crazy. Like for me, like it was just like those. When I get older, I will look back on these years, and hopefully those will be the hardest times of my life. Knock on wood, please. But like those years 22 to 27 were really difficult for me.
Yeah. And
like just struggling like with things internally and stuff like that. That's why it was so difficult. And I think that's why maybe you're right. Like I do look back on the mission.
When life was just more simple.
Yeah. Like all you had to worry about was the gospel and teaching.
And then
exactly. So like now it's like everything. But I miss it though. Like I miss that feeling and like
I miss baking too.
I think also it's because you focus on other people.
Yeah.
You don't have time to really focus on yourself unless you're like at home.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you have time. It's just you don't really know who you really are until you put in difficult situations.
Yeah, true.
You can't really figure out yourself until you really go to real life situations. When you're younger, the only thing we do is go to school, go to friends. But once you hit the real world and start getting a job, meeting new people, relationships, that's when life gets a little bit complicated.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought all the time I wish sometimes go through stuff. I look back when I was a kid. Man, I wish I was going back as a kid. Life was simple. I just listen to my parents. I have food ready. But then So like you said, you're still a nice person.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
I wanted to correct that because you said you were nicer. But like, nah, I think you're still nice.
Thanks.
You're still a good person. You're still a good person. Okay, so in your mission, so you saw that was the things that you saw people struggle with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you talk about transformation. What was like? Because one thing I always talk to a lot of missionaries, they always talk about like I think what you said, the human part. That's what you said. You were talking about one of the biggest things you learned was that we're all human, right? Do you ever feel like? Do you ever meet certain people? I think I see this a lot. Maybe because I'm Mormon too, like you. Like sometimes I see people within our church. They try to portray this image, and then and you talk about expectations of Tongan women. We have to uphold this image of what a Tongan. You have to uphold this image of what a Tongan woman is.
Yeah.
I feel like church is the same way, that we often have to uphold this image of what a Mormon should be.
Yeah.
And so what did you learn that conclusion from? What did you see in your mission that you realized like, wow, we're all human? Like what was the experiences that you learned that made you come to that conclusion?
Just not only with like the investigators, like the people that we taught, but like also like with your companions and stuff, like knowing that they were just like me, like that we were all, we had our times when things were difficult, or we were like, like, because I can't speak for everyone on planet Earth, but I know for me, like growing up and seeing all these like really amazing people like in the church, and seeing that they like, follow the commandments and stuff.
Great testimony.
Yeah, you kind of, at least for me, I always would like put them on a pedestal.
Yeah. And
like paint them as like this perfect person.
Of the person that you need to be like.
Exactly. Yeah. And so like I always like put these people on pedestals and they're like, oh man, everybody should be just like this person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then going on a mission had made me realize that if people are not like that, it's fine. Like, as long as they're trying to reach, you know, as long as they use Jesus Christ should be the person on the pedestal.
Yeah, the only person.
The only person on the pedestal.
Yeah.
But as long as these people have like their whatever personal relationship they have with Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ is their own.
Yeah.
It's not my job to sit there and judge them.
Judge their relationship.
Exactly. Like, what my job is though is to, as a missionary, was to teach them and to love them. But it wasn't my job to judge them.
Yeah.
But it was just to teach them and love them. It wasn't my job to judge them. And that's a concept that I kind of try to bring to like my real life.
Yeah.
You know, today is like when, you know, I have friends who are not of my same faith or even like may not be as active in church as I am and stuff like that. But, you know, you don't condemn them. You love them.
Yeah.
And like, you don't sit there and point out every single thing that they're doing differently than you are.
Yeah.
You accept them for who they are and you love them and you support them and encourage them to work towards something that will make them truly happy instead of like, you know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Like, instead of criticizing people for their for how they live their life towards their relationship with God.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because I feel like what you said is, you know, that happens in all churches, right? Like, you know, sometimes, you know, a lot of people criticize certain people how they live their lifestyle.
Yeah.
But one thing I realized, I think for me, it's just like I realized, at some point in my life, I realized everybody's going through something.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's like, you know, and I realized because, you know, I'm the same way as you. Like, you know, I can look out. You mean me? I'm happy as hell, positive, but then I'm not the type to show what I'm going through.
Yeah.
But then once I understood that, and I realized I can't judge people how they live their life because I don't know what they're going through. I don't know the situation. I don't know the choices they have to make just to make it through their life. So
exactly.
And I feel like I think that's a powerful, because I feel like especially a lot of people are watching and the moments or whatever church they go to. I feel like in all churches we face criticism from people. And I think we had to talk to the last person I did an interview with Kina. She talked about that as well. Like, you know, instead of church should be a place where it should be like the safe place where we come, that no matter what happened to you, what you did yesterday, you know, it's a brand new day. It's a place where you can come closer. You know, it's not our job to like judge people and stuff. Yeah. That's cool. Did you like meet a lot of people in your mission, and then when you got to learn, you realized like they went through a lot of stuff in your own life?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it kind of gave you some perspective.
It did. A lot of the people, you know, that I've met, their life experiences were like completely different. Like, some of their experiences are things that I could never even imagine in my own life.
Yeah.
And like, that really not made me sympathize for them, but that made me really like look up to them. You know, like, wow, like this person is such a strong person because they went through all these things.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had they were very different.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay. All right. Yeah. So how did you? So you became? You said you became a trainer. But how long before you became a trainer? How long did you serve before you became a trainer?
I think it was a year.
Year. Did you ever see yourself becoming a trainer?
No. No. It was actually my birthday.
Yeah.
My birthday, and then they asked if I could train.
Yeah.
And
how'd you feel?
It was pretty cool. I was a little nervous just because I was like, oh man, anything I teach this new missionary, they're gonna like use it as the standard to everything. So I was like, I gotta be good, or I gotta like teach them the right stuff.
Yeah.
But it was a very, I loved her. She was a sweet girl, and she taught me a lot too.
Okay. What did you love? When you became a trainer, did you learn more things about yourself, or did it help you more in your transformation?
I think it really forced me to, I wouldn't say have fake confidence, but it really made me come out of my shell a little bit more on the mission.
Yeah.
Because my little missionary really looked up to everything that I did and what I would teach her and stuff, and so it made me more confident, but it also like really taught me more things about like, I don't know, like I felt like my Spanish at that time was like a lot better than the past, and I don't know if it's because of the confidence that I gained from being a trainer, and even like teaching the lessons and stuff. Like I felt more like I felt like the lessons were more powerful. But I think it might have been because I wasn't sitting there like worrying, oh my gosh, they're not going to understand what I'm going to say. You know what I mean? Like worrying about every little thing, or like having these insecurities always pop into my brain. Like it was a good experience.
You ever had like lessons and you knew for a fact they didn't understand what you said?
When I first went into the mission, I what was it? I can't remember the word. But I think oh man, no, I remember the word. So in Spanish, the word for fish is pescado.
Pescado, yeah.
But the word for sin is pecado.
Pecado.
Yeah, without the S. And I
would say pecado.
I would always say, when we would teach about like sin and stuff, I would accidentally say pescado, and then like when I would talk about like fish, for some reason I would say pecado, you know, like stuff like that, like dumb things like that. Yeah. But I remember saying that during a lesson, I think, where I used fish as sin on accident, and like the member was just sitting there, or the investigator was sitting there and like just looking at me, and like, you know, I'm like feeling the lesson. But I can see in her eyes that it's like she's not there. Yeah, like she's like thinking about something.
Yeah. Stare face. Yeah.
And like my companion later on was like, told her like she meant pecado, not pescado. And then she was just laughing, the investigator. And then she's like, you said fish. And I was like, oh dang it. But anyway, yeah, that's just a moment that I remember in particular. I was like, man.
Your companion wants to step in. Hey,
But you gotta understand too, like I said, naturally, I'm a very weird, awkward human being. Yeah. So those kind of moments are normal for me because that happens to me all the time. Yeah. So that's why I was like, yeah.
That's a lot of fun. All right. Okay, so so you get finish your mission. Now you're coming back. Back to you're in the United States. Yeah. Coming back home. It snows a lot in.
Yeah, they compare it to Siberia.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So was that your first time seeing snow?
No, because Idaho has snow. But that was my first time being in cold weather that was like that. The cold weather in Chicago, I had never felt cold like that in my life.
Yeah.
Like, I thought Idaho was bad. It's nothing compared to... Like, I remember it being, like, negative 13 degrees. But I remember I was, like, me and my companion, we were tracting. And I was like, man, it's so hot. And then I was like, how hot is it? And, like, for some reason, she had something... I don't remember if it was our phone. She had something that told us how cold it was. And so I was like, how hot is it? It's really hot. Because the both of us were hot. We were sweating. We looked and it was negative 13 degrees. Yeah. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? I'm hot right now and sweaty, and it's negative 13 degrees outside. But before that, it was like with wind chill, that's what they call it. Like it could be like negative 20 degrees, but with wind chill,
make it worse.
It'll be like negative 40 or even worse than that.
The wind chill makes it worse.
Yeah, and that I will never forget. Oh, there's a thing. So maybe I'm the only weirdo who does this for fun. But when it's super super cold, like snowy, like when we would track and stuff, I would tell my I remember I told my trainer, I was like, Hermana, look. And then she would look and I like scrunch up my face like this. And I'd be like, it takes a while for your face to go back to normal when it's cold. And so the both of us would be like walking on the street, like taking turns scrunching our faces, because it would be like, it takes so long for it to go back to normal. I don't know. But yeah, it was super cool.
I'll try that next time.
Yeah, it works, trust me. And then you're going to be amazed.
I'll try that next time. Yeah, I remember somebody told me to do this.
Trust me, it works. And then every time we did it, it would shock me. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, that's good to know. That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah. So you came back. How was it? How was the transition coming back?
It was bad.
Yeah.
I was not ready to come back home.
Yeah.
And like, I thought that by putting myself straight into school from the mission would help me keep busy.
Mm-hmm.
So I came back home from my mission on a Saturday, and I went straight back to BYU, Idaho on that Monday.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Do you have time to like decompress?
I didn't want time to decompress.
Yeah.
I just wanted it to like. But now I look back, I think that was a mistake.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done that, but it was difficult because like, even my interactions with people, my sister, I went to school with my sister, so I remember she helped me move into my apartment when I first got to Idaho, and she was telling me that a bunch of our friends, like from before my mission, we were all friends with the same group, wanted to do something. But I remember, this is how I don't know, I look back, I'm like, oh, you weirdo. I remember, because in BYUI we had a curfew, and when my sister told me that our friends wanted to hang out, I remember looking at my watch and saying, I think I don't want to go out because I might not come back home by curfew.
Yeah.
And my sister looked at me and she's like, okay. And like, I also wasn't in the mood to like socialize with people too.
Yeah, I mean, you just came back from the mission.
Exactly.
You're still mission mode.
And like when people would talk to me, I remember there is one of my friends. He's a guy. That was the first time I had seen him since before I came home from my mission, or since before I left on my mission. And like he was super excited to see me, and he like runs towards me to come and give me a big hug. And I straight up like still missionary mode. You know, he's a male. I straight up went like his shoulder and put my hand out and shook his hand, and he was like, what? He was so offended. He was so upset. He's like, really? I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, but no.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like more so like the funnier side of transitioning. I think it was the harder side of transitioning was just like, you can at least for me, I felt different. Like, when I was a missionary, they call it the missionary mantle. Like, you know, you're blessed and you have like that special spirit with you to be a missionary. Mm-hmm. When I was released, I literally felt it like wasn't there anymore.
Yeah. And
that was difficult for me because like I just felt like this void, and it made me sad. And so I was always kind of like mopey and didn't really want to talk to people at that time. Yeah. But I look back and I was like, sorry.
Go ahead.
Just keep on going.
Do you want to take a break?
No.
Okay, go ahead. Yep.
So like when on my mission return home from the mission sadness, I didn't know what that was. I just assumed that I was just being a sad guy because, you know, something awesome just ended. But that was just the beginning of like my little tussle with depression. Yeah. And so like I remember at school, you know, I had said that I wasn't in the mood to like really socialize with people, and like I was just really like sad all the time. Like everything was just not making me happy. I don't know how to describe it, but like I just felt
that's what depression is.
Yeah. But like I remember I was just like you know, like it just felt different because normally when I'm like my normal self, I don't feel like that. But I just assumed it was because I was just being a little sad guy. I just needed to pull myself together. And like I would go to class and stuff, and then I would come back home and just stay in the apartment. And then there was one night in particular where I had a pretty bad thing. Yeah. I mean, like I was trying to do homework or something, and like I was by myself in the apartment, and all of a sudden like I had like these horrible thoughts come into my mind, and like they were like really strong bad thoughts. And I remember like praying to Heavenly Father to help me because I didn't know what was happening. And so I remember I was praying, and like basically like begging, begging to like help it stop, because I was like, it was really bad, and I didn't really know what to do, and I didn't want to talk to anybody because I felt really I didn't want anybody to think that I was like kind of like crazy.
Yeah.
Because I felt like that, and so I was like, nah, I gotta figure something out by myself. And then I remember I was like really like praying to Heavenly Father, begging Him to help me, because it was so bad. And like at that moment, that's when my auntie who passed away, her name is Eleni. My whole family, they were here in California, while I was in Idaho, but she had called me, and it was really late at night, and like she had called me on the phone, and she had said like I was surprised because she was already sick at that time, and usually she went to bed really early, and so when she called me, I was like kind of panicking because I thought something bad had happened to her. But then she was just like, is something wrong? And I was like, no, why? Kind of lying. And she was like saying like, I felt a very strong feeling that I had to call you because something's not, something's wrong. And like at that moment, that was something that like really opened my eyes, to realize that like Heavenly Father didn't, forget about me.
Forget you, yeah.
And so like that was probably the first time that I recognized that I was like, I think there's something a little bit wrong with me. But I still, even with that experience, I still didn't come to complete terms with it, because I didn't want like to feel like I was like crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like I didn't tell people about what had happened. I didn't even tell my auntie that like just minutes before she had called, like I was contemplating something really dumb.
Yeah.
And so like maybe 2 years passed from that, and like during those 2 years I was just so, still the same, felt the same.
Mm-hmm.
But 2 years passed from that, and no. Actually, sorry, I didn't tell her what had happened, and later down the line, she asked me to come back home. And she asked me to come back home, and I came back home, and, she was sick, so I spent good time with her, but also it was something that helped me to kind of, like, get to understand my situation a little bit better. And after that, me and my friends had gone to Disneyland for my birthday, and like it was over there, like that 2 years had passed from that night with the phone call, and when we went to Disneyland, some things had, like the way I felt and stuff was just like, like it was just weird, like I didn't feel like myself, and some things had happened over there, like I was like completely different, and like it was just all bad. And it was my experiences when I had at that time was what kind of led me to really seek out professional help with my depression, and like really realize that I needed to take action with that, because that was the only thing that would help me to be better and not just ignore it or like be ashamed of it. And so after I came back home from Disneyland, I went and saw a doctor, and I got the help that I needed at that time. And like I didn't tell anyone because I was so embarrassed. The only people that knew was my aunties and my siblings, and maybe like 2 friends. But no one knew because I was embarrassed, because I didn't want anybody to look at me like, oh, she's crazy, or like she's psycho.
Yeah, you didn't want to get criticized in that judgment, right?
Yeah, exactly. And even me telling you this right now, I have in my mind, I'm like, oh, people are gonna watch this video and gonna be like, man, I knew she was just a little bit crazy, you know what I mean?
No.
And so that's like, it's something that I have shame about. If I'm being truthful, I am ashamed of it. But like, I've realized I'm happy. I'm not happy, but I know that it's something that I had to go through in order to seek the help that I needed. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, like I think you said it earlier about failure, right? Like it's part of you. Sometimes you have to fail.
Yeah.
In order to finally do the things that you should be doing. And I think what you went through is like that was like because God knows how you are. You're stubborn. You won't get help. So sometimes I feel like He puts us in situations where we have to.
Yeah.
We have to finally do the things that we need to do to help ourselves because, He wants us to be happy at the end of the day.
And that's exactly how it feels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, everybody's going through, like you said, depression. Everybody goes through depression. Celebrities go through depression. So it's like, everybody goes through, like that's something that for me it's learning in life, like we all going through something. And like everybody fights like silent battles that like you will never know.
Yeah.
And I think for me that's something because I know you're a nice person, you're a kind person. But I think that's why for me I always try to like be nice and kind to everybody, even people that are like kind of like low key mean. Because sometimes sometimes when you're depressed, you sometimes low key mean people because you're just going through stuff. Yeah. But that's how you react. But I understand that when people are going through stuff, that it's just you can't judge people because like everybody's going through something. So because I've gone through it myself. But no, and that's very inspiring to hear that what you went through, and it's funny how what your auntie said. I think that's a Tongan. I don't know what's the Tongan word to say it. There's a Tongan word to say that premonition. Where my grandma does the same thing. Like my grandma when I lived in Tongan, my grandma would say, if her heart starts working up, if her heart starts hurting, she knows it's one of her daughters would be like in pain.
Oh. Yeah.
So I've actually been like right next to my auntie one day, and then she answered the call, and it's like my grandma. My grandma's like, "What's going on?" Or I think it was another one that was like she got itchy back, or it's like somebody's pregnant. you ever heard of that before?
Well, that's funny. No, I haven't.
No, it's like if you live in Tonga, it's common. Like if you like the OGs know, but like the OGs will always say, it's if I feel this, it means something. This is what it means. So it's funny when your auntie did that. I was like, everybody. They gave me a flashback of my grandma because she always would like call me or call. She'd call me before. It's like she's just like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah, what's going on? I was like, what do you mean? What's going on? I know something's going on. I was like,
nothing's going on.
No. I run to my room, lock the door. I'm trying to act up. Like, what's going on? I look around.
Make sure you're by yourself and not. So,
no, it's that's why that's one thing I love about our people.
Yeah.
But that's cool. So, I think one of the biggest things you said that you finally recognized it, right? Do you feel like the lack of recognition of depression and just for us mental health in general? Do you think that's it comes from our culture, but not about discussing it, or not even discussing about mental health or those type of things that we go through?
Maybe.
Because that's not the first time I've heard somebody say that. Like I've heard that a lot of polys, that they just when they started feeling those feelings, they kind of just like, it's nothing, right?
Yeah.
But then it gets compounded over time, and then eventually they realize, oh wow, I am going through something. But do you feel that's a cultural thing that we go through?
It can be. I'm not quite sure. I do. Well,
in your opinion.
Okay, so this sounds okay. So I feel like the Polynesian culture, like the Polynesian islands, very warrior culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
proud culture.
Yeah, very proud, very stubborn. And so I think because of that mentality, like the
Actually, don't hear that.
yeah, because of that mentality, it's like maybe it's anything that you deem as a sign of weakness is something that shouldn't be addressed. Maybe that's what my opinion is, you know. So I think that comes from pride. But I also see it, I don't know if it's just the older generations, because in other cultures too, even like with the Americans, like you know, our parents' generation, and like it was worse in our grandparents' generation, mental health, even with like Americans and other races or other cultures, has never really been something that people have acknowledged until maybe recently. Like, I feel like this generation is very good about the acknowledgement that it's a real thing and that it's something that people need to recognize. But I don't know. I do think though it might have something to do with our culture too, because of the whole like weakness, no showing weakness thing. Yeah, it's like we're afraid to be vulnerable. Yeah. Right. But I think mental health or like depression, that's something that people been going through since the beginning of time. Exactly. It's just it wasn't something that was like talked about or taught. They just didn't know what it was. Yeah, they didn't know what it was, and nobody really put studies in to discuss what it was. But now we grew up in a time where there's studies about it. People have books about it. We can read about it, so we're more welcome to talk about it. But I think I can totally resonate with what you said. Like, yeah, we are a warrior race. We're a proud culture. Yeah. So, and that's how how all of us are raised. And then if you're, especially like depending on the standards, right? Women, you have the expectation. We get to learn at really young and early age. This is how you should be. This is how you should be. So like, yeah. And then of course you add our polyhuman, makes it worse. Just roast the hell out of you. Joke about everything that's serious, so you won't make it too serious. Yeah, so I mean it's good. Our humor is good. I think I like a Polynesian humor where we find humor in everything. You know, it does help out sometimes. Time and place though. Yeah, there's a time and place. But there's certain things you just don't. But then we also lack the awareness to realize that when to stop. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I kind of learned that. All right, so so let's get into the topic of dating relationships. Yay! All right, so when did you join the YSA? February of 2019. Oh, nice. You know the date too. Okay. I remember everything. That's the only reason why. There's no other reason why. That's a joke. That was a polyhumor I'm talking about. That was just a joke. I was just joking. How was your experience like, you know, going to start dating again after your mission? Like, you know, was it was it really hard to just open up stuff to dating? Because you know, you just mentioned like it was really hard to transition. So I'm kind of just interested in your take on that. When I had come home from my mission, I was very not interested in dating. Okay. Like, I would have thought boys were a waste of time. I thought they were a waste of time. But, like, I had gone on, like, a few dates and stuff, but it was... Before the mission or after? After the mission, okay. Even though I still felt like boys were a waste of time. Yeah. I still went because, like, you know, to be nice to the people that would ask to hang out with you and stuff. Yeah. But I would go, I don't know. I just felt very indifferent. Yeah. Actually, about it. But yeah. Why did you think it was a waste of time? It was just the common. Maybe it was a. Or maybe it was just like you're just too young. Do you think so? No, it's just because like I thought they were a waste of time because I was kind of scared of them. I thought they were kind of scary, so I was like, because I'm scared of you, I'm gonna stay away from you.
What kind of movies are you watching?
No, I'm just like, no, I'm like, my eyes are single to the glory of God. Just kidding. That was, I mean, only on the mission, but like, I don't know. I like.
You watch a lot of criminal movies?
Yeah. A lot of war movies too.
That's probably why. The worst case scenario of every relationship.
No, but I don't know. It wasn't something that I was like focused on.
Yeah.
A lot.
That's good. You feel like that part of the reason is because you were still going through some stuff at that time?
Yeah.
You weren't ready to open yourself up to somebody?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna go there. Yeah.
Okay. We'll get like this. It's all good. So what do you think is like the hardest thing of like dating for a Tongan woman? Like what's the Tongan woman, you know, what's the experience you guys have to go through? What's the hardest thing about trying to go into a relationship or dating, being raised as a Tongan woman that have to fill like, you know, meet all these expectations? Like what's hard about it?
Like expectations for the man?
Well, no, just for you, it's like just for women, Tongan women in general. Like, do you feel like it's harder to date because you're a Tongan woman and all the things that comes with it?
I don't think it's harder.
Oh no, not really. Like in your opinion.
Yeah, I don't think it's harder. I think it all depends on you personally and like your desires and what your goal is. Mm-hmm. Like for the reason why you're dating, because you know people have different reasons for it.
Yeah.
But like, as for me personally, I don't think being Tongan makes it difficult to date.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And how was and you said how was like going back into the YSA? How was your experience like the first time you went into it?
It was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. People were really, really friendly, and like, I had just randomly decided to go to the YSA to check it out that Sunday. Yeah. But it was funny because like, you know, I had been home for a while, and like I remember thinking about checking out the YSA like when I first got home and stuff, but I never did it because I was just like, don't want to. But it'd be cool. But I'm not gonna do it. Okay. But last year there was just that one Sunday where I just got up and was like, you know what, I'm gonna go and check out the YSA, and I did, and like people were really, really nice. Okay.
Did you know anybody before you got there, or you just went there by yourself? I
only knew one person. She was my cousin, and I knew about the YSA actually because of her, because I would see on her like social media she would post like their activities and stuff. So that's the only reason why I knew that the YSA existed, because of her social media. Okay. And so I just hit her up and asked her the information, and then I just showed up. But that was it.
Okay. All right. Is your family like traditional when it comes to like dating, or who you date, or are they more like open or relaxed?
I would say they're more relaxed.
Yeah?
Yeah, like, traditional in what way do you mean?
Like you have to marry a Tongan? Like,
no. Yeah, my family's relaxed. My two of my siblings, they're married. They're married to Samoans.
Okay.
Yeah, and so, yeah, my family's pretty relaxed on that.
Oh, okay. All right. So, that's a question. Lost my train of thought. It's coming. Oh yeah. So do you feel like I know I talked when I do interview in the last couple of interviews when I talk to the women I'll be talking to, and then girls in general. Do you feel like that? Sometimes do you feel like there's more pressure on you guys as far as getting into relationships and getting married than men?
Honestly, I'm gonna say yeah. When you get to be a certain age,
what's that age?
Well,
what's that magic number?
Because you know I'm 27.
Yeah.
You know, ever since I came home from my mission when I was 22, that's been like people harass me about that all the time.
Yeah.
Like, when are you getting married? Like, you should do this, do that. I'm like, what if I don't want to get married? Anyway, so yeah, like, I feel like after you hit maybe 22 or maybe even 25, that's when people start like really thinking that people need to be married. I don't know, and at least maybe I feel like in the Polynesian culture, yeah, but it makes it worse because we're members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so I'm like, you have that on top of this, and it makes it worse. Because it's not only the polys asking you when you're getting married.
To the fire.
The Palangis are asking you when you're getting married too. You know, so I don't know. It's just stuff like that.
Yeah. Has that affected you at some type of way?
It gets annoying.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like people take it upon themselves to try. They think that because you're not married and you're like, you know, maybe. I don't even think I'm old, first of all.
You're not old.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like, anyways, so, but I feel like people take it upon, like, the OGs, they take it upon themselves to, like, oh, she's, so-and-so is not married yet, I'm gonna hook so-and-so up with this person. Not knowing that that person that they're trying to hook you up with is, you know what I mean? Like, no.
You know what's up.
Exactly. Yeah. And they do too, but it's like, I feel like these people take it upon themselves to be like the matchmakers, you know, because they're like, oh, their time is coming up, you know, kind of thing, which is annoying to me because I'm like, dude, like, I'm not dead yet, you know, like, stop treating me like I'm like ancient. I don't know, but it's just frustrating in that aspect where that pressure is on just because people, I feel like a lot of people think that you have to be in your younger 20s to
find a suitable partner.
Exactly.
All right.
I don't think that's true though.
Yeah. But did you ever feel that pressure like when you were younger? Like, you know, sometimes girls, I'll talk to girls and they'll be like, when they were younger, like they felt like the time was counting down, so like they were kind of low key like rushing. But did you ever feel that, or you just like never really thought about it?
I didn't feel that pressure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I never felt that pressure.
Okay.
Ever.
So you have gone on some setup dates from those OGs?
No.
No.
Nah. I mean, like there have been like there are older, like, you know, some people like will bring up people, but it's like people that you know that it's cool. Like not because you're being picky, but it's just like.
No, I got you.
I feel like everyone is capable of trying to find their own.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with saying no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm quite fond of saying no.
Yeah, just because somebody hooks you doesn't mean that we can say no. It should be fine.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've seen it happen where they take it as a personal insult, like, like just because you think I'm single, like that should take it.
Yeah.
That kind of mindset. Like, no.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's what I hate. So I'm like, okay.
It's like, what's that Tongan word? It's like, you're not appreciative or something. Like I owe you something. You did something for me. You
yeah, like you
don't do anything. You don't do anything for me. You know?
It's a little insulting.
Yeah.
It's a little insulting in the way that they assume that you need help.
Yeah. Like you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, no, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I've seen that reaction where you say no and they look at you and like,
That's why I'm grateful for like my parents and my aunties. My aunties, well, my mom has been getting on my case about getting married, but my dad, like, he doesn't care about that.
Yeah. Like
my dad has never, been like, you need to get married. In fact, I think my dad has actually said, that if I don't want to get married, I don't have to until like I'm done with like everything, like school and stuff.
Yeah.
Like my dad's been that type of person. He's never been the person that like pushes marriage.
Yeah. And
my aunties are the same way, which I'm super grateful for because everybody else seems to.
Yeah.
But don't know why. I don't know. But yeah.
No, I think it's a cultural thing. Mm-hmm. With not only society, church. Right. Have you ever seen people? Have you ever seen people like rush it and it didn't work out?
back at BYUI, there's a lot of people that would get married real fast. Like, literal stories where you would hear, or like people in our YSA wards where the boy would come back home from his mission, like fresh returned missionary, meet this girl, and then they get married maybe like a week after.
Dang.
And some of them it works. In my personal opinion, I ain't one to judge, because I'm like, if you both felt like, did all the steps, like, you know, sought divine guidance, and like feel like you should, and like you're both in a good place to do so, it ain't my business but yours. Like, go ahead and do it. But there are some people that it works. Like, they've been married for so long and they're so happy, but they only knew each other like maybe a week within meeting each other. There's some people though that it don't work. You know, that happens and then they get divorced. But to me, it's all personal. It's on.
It's different for everybody. It's just, when you're ready.
Yeah, their experience is different than mine, and I'm not anyone to judge it. So
okay, all right. What do you look for in a person?
Like qualities?
Yeah, qualities.
I guess. So a big thing for me is like, because I feel like you would think that because I have interest in English, like I'm good with my words, but I'm not.
Yeah.
At least verbally. Like, I have a hard time really explaining like myself.
Yeah.
You know? And so like sometimes people misunderstand me or what I'm trying to say because I don't explain myself very well.
Yeah.
In the way that I want. And a big thing for me would be someone who like understands me. Like, they know me so well that even if I like don't explain myself super well,
but they know what you mean.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like they'll understand me and not misinterpret anything that I have to say.
Yeah.
And so definitely that, and like someone who's really patient and kind and loving, and just like like another thing too that I really think is important is because I know that I will do that for their family. Like, if they love my family, like it's like their own birth family.
Yeah.
Because I know I would do that for them.
Yeah.
But that's like a big deal for me, like to find someone who will do that.
Okay. Alright, cool. So when you do meet this person, let me know. Maybe it's your wedding. I'll walk up to them.
Of course.
I say, good job.
Yeah, it's still trying to, yeah.
So you found it,
I would focus on trying to like stress how I do have worth and value, because I think I know that back then I did not think that I had any value or worth, and so because of that I probably wasn't able to reach like my maximum potential, and so I probably remind her about that and give her a hug for crying out loud. I'm like, girl, you gonna be going through some pretty crazy things. But yeah,
that's cool. All right, so yeah, this I think that's come to the end of our interview. Anything else you want to share?
No. Yeah.
Any last thoughts? I always ask every person that I do an interview with. You know, the purpose of this is just to share your story, and you know, it's not only to inspire, to help people that's going through stuff, especially within our own community. So any last thoughts for yourself? Last words you want to say to all men and Polynesian girls out there that are watching? Or anybody out there that's watching this?
Just try to be the best version of yourself every day. Sorry, I'm so awkward. I don't know why I do that shooting thing. But yeah, be your best version of yourself every day. In all seriousness, yeah.
I think there was a guy in that audience that caught that bullet.
Okay. Well,
don't worry, I'll put her social media info in the video, so you guys are gonna know. If you caught that bullet, you want to send it back. All right. So and then last thing, how does it? Number one, I'm thank you and grateful for coming out and sharing your story. You shared a lot of things.
Sorry for crying so much.
No, it's good.
I'm a crybaby, so it happens.
That was good. But how does it feel? For me, I feel like that you were talking about accepting yourself, right? Finding yourself. I think one of the things we realize that when you're in that journey to find yourself and kind of be happy is understanding that I think you have to come in terms of accepting your life, your story.
Yeah.
Right? Because I feel like a lot of times when we're depressed or we're afraid or we're just going through something, it's because something happened in our life that we're kind of ashamed of.
Mm-hmm.
We're afraid to bring out to the open. So I feel like sharing a story gives you, as you share your story, like you go through this healing process of accepting everything that happened in your life and saying to yourself, you know what, no matter what happened in my story, my story is my story. Owning your story. I wouldn't be like, for me, I have my own life, but I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't go through every single thing, the good and the bad. Like it wouldn't have molded me. Like you wouldn't be the person you are today if you didn't go through all those things that you mentioned, regardless if it was one of the lowest times, right? So, how does it feel right now? Like you talked about your whole life right now. You shared a lot of, personal stuff and things you went through. Like, how does it feel right now? Like after you just shared your whole life story with us.
If I'm going to be completely truthful,
yeah,
part of me, feels a little relief.
Yeah.
But another part of me does feel a little embarrassed. Not embarrassed because of the interview, but just because, I had mentioned earlier that one of my issues with, coming to terms with depression was because I didn't want people to think that I was, some closet weirdo or, crazy, you know? And so, I guess that's a reason why I feel a little bit embarrassed, but I do recognize that maybe that's a selfish feeling. Maybe it's I shouldn't feel that way because you're right, sharing these things will help someone else who might be going through the same things that I went through / am going through right now. Yeah. So I guess that does give me some consolation that it's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. You can be friends.
Yeah.
All right. But that's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Oh, the shooting thing, I swear.